and Finance Committee to order. Today, we will have the following departments: Fire and EMS, followed by the Sheriff's Office, followed by Water Services. So similar to yesterday, we will hear a presentation from the department. I will start off by calling on the respective chair for the appropriate committee, followed by the vice chair of Budget and Finance to see if they have any questions, and then we will go on to any other members of the body that may have questions, ideally starting with Budget and Finance Committee members and then allowing any other members to ask any questions. We did want to remind our colleagues as well as our departments that when you are presenting or asking questions, please to make sure that we're using language that the public can understand. So sometimes we get a little caught up in industry language or jargon. So when we're saying FTEs, the public may not know that that's a full-time employee. So if you could just make sure to kind of be mindful when you're asking the questions or presenting information that we are using language that is inclusive for the public. And before we get started, I want to give a big congratulations to our very own Constituent Services Representative, Melanie Cruz, who got engaged over the weekend. So congratulations, Melanie. We are so happy and excited for you. And with that, we are going to go ahead and get started. I am going to turn it over to our Fire and EMS. If you all could please introduce yourselves, and thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. I'm Director Chief William Swan of the Nashville Fire Department and Office of Emergency Management.
I'm Leanne Burchell, the Finance Manager for the Fire Department.
Awesome. All right, well, universal, easy language for everybody to understand. Thank you guys for allowing us to be here and definitely to present the mayor's proposed budget for our department. First, we're very thankful to be in the position that we are in as far as being able a public servant and especially when it comes to public safety. Today, I am mentioning we're here because of the Nashville Fire Department, but I do want to give a quick shout out to the Office of Emergency Management, which is umbrella under the fire department and does such incredible work. The men and women of the Nashville Fire Department is just incredible. We approximately made 160 incidents last year, and currently, year to date, we're about 14% trending up. So we know that the need for our department is very prevalent in this community. Great work that's been done by each and every person that works on this department. If we are granted the mayor's proposed budget, we'll be able to accomplish many things. But in a nutshell, it will be to help reduce response times, and be more effective and more efficient at how we do our job. When we think about the fire department, of course, you think about fires, but we're really an all-response, all-hazardous department. We deal with everything from your basic emergencies, what we call our high-risk, high-frequency, to our high-risk, low-frequencies. We deal with everything. We have multiple tools that we use, and every time a response or 911 is called, you will get a piece of fire equipment, fire personnel, or Office of Emergency Management there to help manage that scene. So again, I just cannot let this opportunity go without just thanking the men and women of our department. And I know you guys feel the same way. So as we look at our proposed budget, I know you guys sent us a Q&A, and we answered the questions to the best of our ability. Hopefully it was pretty self-explanatory. But some of the things I do want to touch upon that we're very appreciative of, we did a study several years ago within the department that how do we be more efficient in how we go about doing our job. And one of the things that they requested that we have is a staffing office. We called it a workforce management office. And this office is to help us be more consistent across the board. When you look at a department that's running for the fire suppression, you have an A, B, and C shift. And then for EMS, you have an A, B, C, and D shift. So again, it's a lot of moving parts. And with this staffing office or workforce management office, this will get us more consistent with being able to manage not only vacations, but when we start talking about paid family leave or incidents of this magnitude, it just helps us be more fair across the field. Another thing that I know touches everyone's heart is our REACH program, which really, a REACH program is making sure that we get individuals that need help, the right type of help. Making sure that we're, it's threefold. Number one, it doesn't bog down the ERs with taking someone who has a mental episode to a ER where, again, it bogs down the system. And then we want to make sure that that person gets sent to the right mental health facility to get the right type of help that is needed. And also, our program can leave individuals at home with a safety plan, and it's been very effective. We work closely with our nonprofit partners as well as the health department, and we did get the rest of the funding that we were owed from last year, and we've got additional funding that will help us expand our program, our REACH program. Right now, we're not running it 24 hours, but with the proposed budget, it'll allow us to expand it more. We may not be able to be consistent 24 hours, but it will definitely give us more hours to be able to, again, get people the right type of help that is needed. This is very important. Also, another component of that is not only are we taking care of the public, but to make sure that we're taking care of our department. Listen, on the fire department, we deal with all of the emergencies, everything that you deal with, from shootings, stabbings, homicides, suicides, drownings, bombings, all the above. But one thing that we're trying to be better at is taking care of our staff, our personnel, because every day these men and women are faced with dealing with these emergencies. They're the ones that's got hands-on and dealing with these crises. So we're making sure that we asked for a crisis counselor. We did get that. We're very appreciative of that. My only fear as far as being the chief is making sure that our people we have the proper staffing, the right equipment to be able to accomplish the task that is expected of us, and then that we send people back home. Physically, we've been very blessed to be able to do that. The mental aspect of it, when it comes to mental health, we do understand that we have to make sure that we're very attentive to that. So thank you guys for assisting, and I'm very appreciative to the mayor and the mayor's staff that work with us on that. Another great accomplishment that we have that we was granted was our EMS division. We are going to be able to open up another EMS unit. One thing that we do know is that it's almost like trying to feed a hungry, endless, bottomless pit. Our call volumes are continuously moving up, but and our utilization rate per unit, that means for every ambulance or apparatus there's a national standard of what that unit utilization should be. Well, here in Nashville, of course, our numbers are way too higher than what we would like for them. So getting a new med unit, this will help us take off some of that pressure with the men and women on this department. But more importantly, it'll help us be able to service those who not only live but work and play inside of Davidson County. So we're very appreciative of that. Also, we were able to be granted under the fire marshal's office a healthy staff number so that we can be able to be more effective working in an ever-growing department or ever-growing Davidson County. So it's very difficult to be able to stay up with the growth of the city. You guys have heard me. I've been the chief since 2018, and I've said this every time I've got up here, and the chiefs before me, I'm sure, have said it. But the growth in this city, in Davidson County, is just tremendous. It's difficult. I mean, you guys know, if you haven't been in a certain area in the last 3 or 4 months, when you go there, you almost is unrecognizable. So one of the things that we have to do is make sure as a department that we grow with the city in order to be able to meet the expectation via the standard. So the fire marshal's office, the growth that's needed in that department, and we're so appreciative that the mayor's office has given us a study. We're doing a study now just to figure out exactly what is the total need that's needed, and then how do we accomplish that. So we're very appreciative. But we were able to gather staffing numbers for them, and that's going to help our fire marshal be able to be more effective doing his job, again, which will help when we start talking about prevention, and also making sure that older constructions are well equipped with the latest and greatest fire protection, and then new buildings are built at standard. So very appreciative. The other item that I will talk about is fire suppression itself. I'm very happy to mention that we are going to get with this proposed budget, we were blessed with getting a fire truck for South Nashville, which this is something that should have been, we needed this about 8 years, 10 years, 12 years ago. So we were very appreciative to the mayor and his staff for seeing fit to give us this. This is something that's really needed because the growth in that area is just tremendous, south of Nashville. Also, I want to thank a lot of the council members. I understand that you guys even selectively put some points toward in our capital for getting a fire station built there. So thank you guys for that. This is not about capital, but I just want to mention that because it does show you guys are working together when you see a need, and we were very appreciative of that with the fire department. So thank you so much for that. But getting a fire truck there is very critical and very appreciative. Not only will we get the apparatus, but we'll get the staffing to be able to manage that for the 3 shifts. And then alongside of that, one of the challenges that we have within the fire department is how can we be effective and more efficient in thinking outside the box. So as you guys know, the fast car concept that we've been talking about for several years, where we have 2 individuals that's in a Tahoe to make responses. This cuts down on the heavy wear of the wear and tear of our heavy apparatuses, like our engines and our trucks. They're able to go in and help with the medic calls, because remember, first responders, anytime a call goes out, you're going to get an engine, a truck, and more than likely they will be there right as or right before the ambulance, because the ambulance may be coming from another location. So now we've got fire squad trucks. These squad trucks are tremendous, and they do such great work. What they're able to do is when we start looking at the cost of apparatus, now what used to be $900K or $1 million for a truck, now we're looking at 1.5, 1.6 million just for a truck. All of this happened, of course, after COVID. Everything has gone up. So we implemented a program that we use the squad trucks. We have a total of 8 of those, and then we converted 2 trucks over. So altogether, we'll have 10 in place. So we understand our ask was pretty high to staff those completely, but the mayor seemed fit with his team to help us there as well. So we got 18 personnel that help us staff those squad trucks. Now, what that's going to do, it will help us be able to run those when we're able to, which that will increase that capability. Again, at the end of the day, they'll take the wear and tear off of the trucks. They can make extrication calls, as well as going out to structures to do carbon dioxide testing or what have you. So again, just tremendous. Our motor vehicle incidents will make anywhere between 240 of those in a week time span. And then we'll have to use extrication equipment. I may have fudged a little bit, maybe 180. That fluctuates. But we'll use extrication equipment to free individuals from these motor vehicle accidents. We'll do anywhere between 5 or 6 of those every 6 days. So again, this will be a tremendous assistance with our department. So thank you so much with that. Also, some of the things that we're trying to accomplish within the department, of course, with our admin, we'll get a couple personnel for our finance. We'll get another HR person. And then when we start talking about our training department, this is another area that is really needs a lot of attention, because as we bring on recruits and do in-service, it's difficult to keep up with your student instructor ratio. So we'll be able to get 2 more instructors for fire and 1 for EMS, which again, we understand the needs of this department is great. And we would love to be able to just get every ask that we ask for, but we know that's not realistic. But we feel very blessed and thankful that we did get what we received. But as a chief, I will assure you, everything that we've got, we will make sure that we'll put to good use, and it will be able to help us be more efficient and doing the things that we need to number one, make sure everybody feels safe in this city. A big challenge that we have is we understand that coming to Nashville is a big drive. And I've been to multiple different cities, and I'm sure you have as well. And for the first time, I was here recently, I was at a certain city, and everybody was just talking about Nashville and how they want to go there. And they have to go downtown and have to see Nashville. They convinced me so much, it made me want to hurry up and get back to Nashville. What is the drive? But you know, I really took pride in that, because I think that happens because I think the city is no better than public safety. I think the city is no better than the men and women that works for the city to ensure that they feel safe. And so I think all of us have something to do with that, including yourself. So I appreciate it. That's all I have as far as just giving the presentation. And again, I will say too, one of the things that we have in our toolbox that I want to mention is our Tennessee Heart Team, where we do a lot of air rescues. A lot of people may not know about that, but we've been pushing that a lot. And we were used quite a bit last year doing all of the emergencies that they had. Our Swiftwater dive team, we work closely, of course, with, again, OEM Fire. We're one entity. So again, we're just very proud of the extra stuff that is done within this department. But again, that's my presentation. I'm open for questions. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Chief Swan. Thank you for being here for that extensive presentation. And we appreciate all that you do for our city to keep Nashvillians safe. Colleagues, I am adding you all to a queue as I have noticed hands going up. Thank you. All righty. I got you down there. And now I just lost my train of thought. Chief Swan, if you could just clarify one thing that you said, and then we'll go into the questions. The extrication, I'm assuming that's extracting people from vehicles, or can you confirm if that's what we're talking about?
You're absolutely. When we talk about extrication, it's when a motor vehicle accident occurs and someone is trapped inside the vehicle, and they have to be, we use the jaws of life and other things to make sure that we release that person. Usually it's very intense, a lot of training involved, but again, it's more technical, but you're absolutely correct with your thought.
Okay, thank you. And for our colleagues that may have joined us since we talked about the beginning, I will go to the chair of the committee that the department resides under first, and then I will go to the vice chair of budget and finance to see if either of those individuals have questions, and then I'll work my way through the queue. So chair or vice chair, if you don't have anything, you can just wave off. So right now in the queue, Councilmember Toombs did not have anything. So we're going to go Councilmember Evans, Councilmember Johnson, Johnston, Councilmember Bradford, Councilmember Spain, Councilmember Cortez, Councilmember Allen, Councilmember Swore, Councilmember Gregg. So if you would like to be added to the queue, just wave and I will get you in there. So we're going to start with our Public Health and Safety Chair, Councilmember Evans. You're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. So residents out in my area are, of course, really concerned about the level of property tax increase. And so I started getting some questions as people are going through the budget materials and they're looking and they want to really understand kind of some of these additional asks for FTEs. And so can you speak more to the new truck company, in particular the one in South Nashville and Antioch? Is that to augment an existing fire hall, or is it in anticipation of the future one that, there's interest in building in Councilmember Rutherford's district?
Yes, ma'am. So that, councilperson, that is, we're talking about an additional brand new truck, and we will actually put that with one of the stations. Right now we're trying to figure out what station that it would best service, and I would love to be able, once we make that decision, we have an ideal, but we're going to wait until we make sure the budget is passed, and then we'll let you guys know. But it will be in South Nashville, and it will be able to service, of course, everyone there. Because, as you know, it takes a minute to just be due to the time, traffic, and place to get a truck there. So it will service. It will be a brand new truck that will be assigned to one of the existing fire stations there.
Okay, thank you. And then on the fire marshal's office, the 8 FTEs that you're looking to add there, can you speak to kind of, I know building safety inspections are really important. We're really growing. Kind of what the existing FTEs are around the fire marshal's office for that responsibility, and what would this increase allow that team to be able to do?
Sure. Yes, and if you look and see when we was allotted what we asked for, one of the jobs, the tasks that I had to do was try to make sure that with what I was given, to make sure, number one, that I spread that throughout each division the best I could. And the fire marshal office is one, again, that's going to be very critical. So it's $2 million for 13 additional staffing in the fire marshal's office to address the increased demand, of course, for fire inspections and to ensure that building safety. So the arson part of it would be 4 positions there for arson. And then we'll also have, the arson will have a chief fire investigator. Of course, again, that's that ratio. We're making sure that you have the supervisors per arson personnel. Also, we'll have under arson, again, we'll have an assistant chief best investigator, and then we'll have a fire investigator. So arson, those are the 4. And then for fire inspectors, we'll have, let's see, 9 total. Assistant fire marshal, we'll have a fire marshal, 2 fire inspectors, and then we'll have 1 additional SO, yes, multiple. Yeah, I'm sorry, multiple fire inspectors. We have a total of 9. One of them will be assistant fire marshal, and then under that, there'll be fire inspectors.
And I guess, can you help me understand where it references improve building safety inspections? Is that improve as in make them faster as, new buildings are coming online, or is there some other way that I should interpret improve?
No, well, so when you think about, let me clarify it this way too, and a great question, thank you. Arson is, their job, of course, is once a fire has happened, they're investigating to figure out what happened, how did it happen, was it intentional or was it faulty due to some type of, from a building perspective. Now, our fire inspectors, what they do, they go out, again, there's routine inspections that has to be done as far as yearly or sometimes every 3 years, or if we are alerted of something that's happened. So their job really, and for new construction, to make sure that, so inspectors make sure that the buildings that are being built are built correct and right. Then if there is a fire alarm or someone calls because there's overcrowding or whatever the case may be, that's when your inspectors will go out. Again, so the difference there is when it says to enhance the day-to-day operations for the fire department and personnel, remember, this is not only to ensure that things have been done proper and in place by building codes and construction, but also for existing structures to make sure that everything is kept up to standard. And that helps us out because, again, at the end of the day, fire safety involves if we're responding to a call because something faulty has happened and it's new construction, then someone's dropped the ball there. So it's just a collaborative effort for inspectors to pre-inspect and then investigators to, if something happens, why did it happen? Hope I didn't confuse you with that.
No, thank you for that. And I'll give you my last question and we can move on to somebody else because I'm sure my other questions will probably get answered. On the contractual increase, this EMS billing for the 500,000, it says contractual required increase. Is this a contract that had like a renewal period and there was a requirement at that point? Or can you help us understand a little bit more about that?
That, at the time we put this in, that's covering 2 years of contractual increases because the current fiscal year, we didn't receive funding for that. So we're just picking up 2 years at once. But there, if you look in the budget documents, you'll see that there is revenue that offsets that expense because as they bill out our claims and the revenue comes in.
Thank you.
washes out.
Yeah, thanks for that explanation. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. And before we go to Councilmember Johnston, colleagues, I did forgot to mention to you the documents that we have. So the document that looks like this, these are the printed out pages for the budget book. So you're able to follow along with that if you're looking through the budget book. The other set of documents, these are the pages from the questionnaires in which each department did fill out their questionnaire to discuss the questions that we've asked them, including the request. The document that has the blue banner on the top, these are the modifications that the department made for that for this particular budget period. And I would like to thank Budget Officer Pratt, who created a new document for us today. It looks very similar. It's a smaller one, but it's gray. This one shows us what the modification request was. And in that second column that says stage, it lets you know if it was funded in the mayor's budget or not. So we can kind of see at a glance if it says mayor under stage, then it was funded in the mayor's budget. If it says submitted, then that was something that the department requested, but it was not funded. One other thing that I wanted to call your attention to, colleagues, because this question may come up. If you look at your budget book, the budget book printout on page 335 for the amount for the 2024-2025, the GSD, remember, fire was being funded under both GSD and USD, but going forward, the recommendation is that it's funded solely under GSD. So we will have, finance did already speak to us about the USD-GSD study. We will also go over that again in our first budget work session. So I want to make sure that that is very clear in case there are any questions on why we're seeing the amount jump in the GSD. It is because of that study, and it is no longer going to be funded under the USD. So with that, Councilmember Johnston, you are recognized.
Thank you. I'm going to start by piggybacking off
Sorry.
of what Chair Evans was asking, because I am a little bit confused. So how many, so he says 8 FTE additional to expand the improvement of building safety inspections. How many inspectors do we have now for building inspections, not arson investigations, but just building inspections?
I would have, I don't have that offhand, but I can get you that total number.
Just ballpark it for me.
What do you think about it? Yeah, maybe about,
I just don't remember.
yeah, about 35 or 40 total.
So you got 35 or 40 and you're asking for 8 more. Is there any overlap in codes inspections? Because I know when we're building new buildings or homes, not necessarily homes with fire marshal, but commercial buildings, that codes is going in there as well. Does codes do any of that inspection for fire type suppression things?
Yeah, codes really, to break that down, codes is more building construction process. They worry about, is it built by the standard of, it's supposed to be X size But fire marshal office, they're more about fire, it's about safety. It's all about building safety. So codes and fire work hand in hand on any type of construction.
But it's not a duplication of effort?
No.
Okay.
No, absolutely not.
Okay, and so how many arson investigators do we have currently? Are you asking for 4 more? You can just ballpark
Yeah,
it.
it's about 7 or 8 as far as that
7 or
goes.
8. So we're asking to go to, let's say, 12, from 8 to 12. Okay.
Absolutely.
When you, it's your firefighters that you're adding, it's under line item firefighter 2. I'm assuming that we're not having those new FTEs under firefighter 1 to mitigate the lower starting salary. Is that fair?
So the firefighter structure is set in the pay plan. When they're hired and they start in the academy, they begin as a fire recruit. When they graduate the academy and they go into their training period in the field, they become a firefighter 1. And after 6 months, if they successfully complete that period, then they go to a firefighter 2. It's not an option for us to choose to hire a firefighter 2 over a firefighter 1. It's that preset step that's in the pay plan.
Okay, but we do have to start from scratch.
Correct.
With firefighters, so they start off as like firefighter 0, then they go to 1, then they go to 2.
They start as a recruit and
Yeah.
then- while they're in the
Okay.
academy.
How long does that typically take when from the time that you post a job for a firefighter? How long does that take to go through the recruiting process, get them trained up so that they are then a firefighter 2 ready to go?
So it takes from the day Chief Swan gets a list of people that he is ready to hire, it takes 90 days just to onboard them.
Okay.
Because there are medical, education, background checks that go on. Then they start in the academy, and that's approximately 6 months. So then you finish the academy, and they do a 6-month probationary period in the field, and then they become
So it's almost a
firefighter
year.
2.
Gotcha.
To become a firefighter 1, it's almost a year, but to become a firefighter 2, where they're truly turned loose to work on their own on the piece of equipment, it's well over a year.
Okay. So you said earlier that you have 1 new fire truck coming, correct? When do we anticipate the delivery of that equipment?
Well, we've actually got a reserve, and we've got a couple apparatus that we actually have on the way. Matter of fact, let me give you.
While you're looking for that, I'm just going to express my concern. So there was an audit of the fire fleet that came out a few months ago. I did have that shared with all of the council members in preparation for this hearing, where there's a significant number of our firefighters that are concerned about the reliability and safety of that equipment. And so my concern is if we don't have the equipment that is reliable for our firefighters to, and specifically, not specifically, but especially ladder trucks, to be able to respond safely, I'm concerned with the firefighters that we have now. I'm concerned about adding another 36. Do we have the equipment to support that?
We do.
Because it seems as though the audit would say that we don't.
Well, and I appreciate that, what you're saying, but let me just give you a quick snapshot of what we've had just in this past year. We've had 7 engines delivered. We had Tower 17. We got Tower 2 that's on its way. We've had 11 medic units. And our fleet really has, especially our heavy fleet, light fleet has been taken care of a couple of years ago. You guys played a big role in that. We really appreciate that. And then even with our heavy fleet, we've done really a tremendous job of really getting that turned over. So from the time the audit showed where our deficiencies are, General Service has really been really good as far as working with us, being creative, and in the funding that you guys give them, they really, most of that come to the fire department, to be quite honest. So we will have that apparatus and prepared to be able to operate it, Council Lady. We'll have it. So that's not a concern. My concern is really just making sure we get the personnel to be able to run it, and that will be remember, you're not getting 36 total for that truck. You're just getting, for the truck, it's half of that number. The other half is going for the squads that we already have. So we'll be able to manage that.
Okay. Asking about the REACH program, which I'm in full support of, how many personnel do you have currently with EMS, I don't know what else to call
Reach.
Yeah, I don't know what to call them.
Yeah.
But mental health professionals that are traveling with our EMS, how many do you have currently right now?
We have a total of 4 on our staff. And then, of course, we work with the health department, and then who's that private? Yeah,
The mental health co-op.
I'm so sorry. I should know that. I do, but I just couldn't think of it. Again, this is a remarkable team. So this will be able to, with what we're getting now, we got the complete funding from last year, and then we'll get 2 more additional medics and apparatus to be able to, again, expand that program. We won't be able to run it consistently 24 hours, but it'll be a big, significant difference. We'll pick our times more, just be more cautious of how we do that. But you see the difference. I know, like everyone else, how effective that program is.
Yeah, I'm just wondering about the coordination between the police department and their program as well, where if you are in a situation, I'm just trying to make sure that we're not duplicating effort when it's not necessary. And this is a significant tax increase that we're talking about. And so I'm trying to make sure that we're being as efficient as possible. So when we have our mental health professionals that are responding with our emergency first responders, whether it's fire, EMS, well, they don't go with fire department, I wouldn't assume, but the EMS and police, are we coordinating efforts so that do we have to have full-time employees to do that, or can we piggyback off of each other? Does that make sense?
Well, it does make sense, but it's not efficient. And so let me explain. I will not speak on the police department. I think they do a great job of what they do. That's their the tale. But I do know the difference here, and it starts out with our 911. If an individual calls in and and it's what we call a call for help that requires either our program is the proposed response is because it's more of a safe call with an individual that's needing mental health. Again, not only will they still will get fire equipment, and just depends on the nature of it, and they will get our REACH program. Once they get there, the assessment will be made by the clinician and our paramedic. And if that call escalates, right, to where it maybe Will Swan has a problem and our 911 is called and I have a mental issue that's going on, the evaluation can be made via phone by 911, which we've really worked a lot of kinks out of that program. And then also when the teams get on the scene, they can make an evaluation where, okay, maybe Will Swan has a mental issue, but also he's physically injured. So then that would require them to get transported to an ER. But if it's just total mental problem, then Will Swan can get carried to somewhere where he'll get the mental help that's needed. The proper help is a better word.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to move on just for time's sake. So the Workforce Management Administration, that's a completely new sort of division that you are requesting, correct?
Right.
It does not exist at all right now.
Absolutely not.
Okay. Okay, that's all I have for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Johnston. Next, we have Councilmember Bradford, and followed by Councilmember Spain. Councilmember Bradford, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. One of my questions was already answered, so that will reduce the time I have. One question I was asking everybody yesterday, today's going to be no different. There's about 2.9 million of targeted savings that y'all are receiving that you kind of did without this year. The question I've been asking everybody is there a particular line item or what impact to the NFD would there be if that 2.9 million was taken out of your budget?
Well, I will first, for us to even acquire the request, we had to hold back promotions and hiring to accomplish that. So when you start talking about the significance of not promoting, that means that we had positions that from engineers to captains to district chiefs that we weren't able to promote because, again, we was trying to meet that target savings. along with our hiring process. So currently, we've got a recruit class of 40 that's going on now, and in July we'll pull 20 more, which will make the grand total of 60 for graduation in October. But again, we had to use promotions and hiring to acquire that.
Okay, thank you for that information. With the squad trucks, you, in the budget book, it says that you estimate it's saved about or create a 50% reduction in wear and tear. Do you have like any figures kind of giving a quantity, like how much money that saved the department? And two, if you got the additional 18 FTEs, how much of a reduction in wear and tear do you see from having the additional 18 FTEs?
Yeah, we do. We can give those to you. We can send it to everyone. I mean, it's a simple math, right? But when it said 50% wear and tear, that's a lot. Because again, you're not putting that heavy apparatus on that road. When you start looking at how do we equate when to buy a piece of equipment, there's a formula. For instance, for an engine, they may say 5 years before the standard before you buy a new engine. A truck may be 7 years. Well, we'll run through an engine in 2 years. We'll run through a truck in 3 years. That's how busy we are. And just to mention, I mean, we're in the top 20 in the nation. We got several stations that are in that. And then we've got the number one station, Station 9, that's in the nation. By a few thousand calls, that's how busy Nashville is. So having that squad and taking the wear and tear off of it, it saves the city a lot of money. Because again, an engine is around about $800K for our fire engine. It used to be 300 and something. I mean, so you're looking at a significance of savings. So we'll get that and equate it for you guys and get it to everyone. And if you don't mind, Council Lady Johnson, that I want to give you that number about we got 41 fire inspectors and 7 arson investigators. That's not currently. All right, thank you.
Okay, next question, kind of in line with you mentioning how busy we are, considering, but there's some cities that are smaller than us that have more stations, therefore we're naturally busier because we have fewer trucks. As far as stations go, has there been any studies, or is there a study kind of that y'all look at, say, all right, this is the next station we need to replace, or this is the next station we need renovations? So is there any kind of like planning that goes into who's next on the list?
Yes, currently, and you guys will probably remember we had like Nashville Next. We used to use that, and we're currently working with Vanderbilt, GIS, Mr. Lopez and his team of individuals who are actually helping us to be able to do an equation. It really just shows you where your volume is at, where the potential growth of the city. So it sort of gives us a drive of where we need equipment and staffing. And remember, we haven't really built a new fire station. We haven't had a new station in over 20 years. I'm talking about a new station, meaning not just an additional station, not redoing a station, but a new station. So we've got in our capital, we've got 6 already plotted where we feel like they're needed, and we'll use the tools that we have now to sort of help solidify that, and then we'll be more than happy to get that out to everyone, all the council person. But yes, there's a formula.
All right, I appreciate that. I've got 2 more questions, Chair.
Okay.
A couple years ago, I can't remember if it was 2017 or 2018, due to some of the budget cuts and some of the concerns going on, a lot of stations that had EMS or ambulances lost those services. Have we completely, gotten those services back in place? Like I remember, I believe it was the Donaldson station, they lost some equipment due to the budget cuts. So have we kind of gone back and made sure all those stations have got those services reinstated?
I think what you're talking about is you're talking about fire medics. We've not lost any services. So I think that's what you're referring to. Fire medic means that on the apparatus, so you have an engine, that makes most of the medic calls. The trucks makes medic calls, and of course fire runs and et cetera. And then your ambulances that make all medic calls. And then what we had was due to the lack of ambulances that we had fire medics. For instance, I'm a paramedic, so I could be on the engine and I could do more of advanced care when I get on the scene before the ambulance get there. But as we started growing and had more ambulances that we put in place, there was no need in having those ALS engines. It didn't make sense, and it wasn't driving the cost versus what it was supposed to do. So when you say lost something, we really never lost anything. We really gained because we have more medic units. So we're in a good place there.
Okay, thank you. And you mentioned earlier about some of the other programs, and stop me if this is not fire department, if this is emergency services, but you were talking about your swift water rescues and stuff like that. We all know, we're getting close to summer. We know, and I hear the sirens all the time. I see the reports all the time of people drowning at Percy Priest Lake. We know it's a very popular place for folks to go during the summer. Do y'all have any current facilities or current staging areas for your swift water rescue? Like, how far do those boats and personnel have to come to get to Percy Priest Lake?
Yeah, that's a good question. So first, the training that we do, along with, again, I will not leave out our OEM team because it's incredible. Our dive teams are mostly for recovery, and our swift water, of course, is for rescue. So our special operations team and OEM, a lot of training is done there to assist in that area. Currently, we have our boats that we have in our teams. We have them sort of strategically placed within the city. And of course, the Percy Priest area, we have, which is Station 22s, which is right there off of by Opryland. But then we have our OEM team, which is at But our OEM team is located at Southeast. So again, we feel like we do know that we're working closely with the mayor's office for downtown, of course, to have something more of a dock area there. And we're in works. But everywhere else within the city, we do have them placed in areas that are quick access to these lakes and rivers.
All right, so follow up. When you mentioned Southeast, are you referring to the Southeast facility that's there on Murfreesboro Pike?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. That's all my questions.
Thank you, Councilmember Bradford. Councilmember Spain, you're recognized, followed by Councilmember Cortez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Chief, for being here. The Chair already referenced the proposed USD-GSD transfer that's included in your budget. I know we'll be discussing that further as we move along through the process, but I just want to clarify a couple of things if I can. That transfer of just over $108 million, $108.1 million, is that based on any sort of request or recommendation from Nashville Fire?
That is a study that was conducted with the mayor's office and the finance department. They'll have all that information for you.
Thank you for that. And to your knowledge, will that transfer result in any level of increased service to the areas of the county that are outside the USD?
The Nashville Fire Department provides the same level of service to all areas of the city, so it will not impact anyone in a negative way.
Thank you for that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Spain. Councilmember Cortez, you are recognized, followed by Councilmember Allen.
Thank you, Chair. Most of my questions were answered. Two quick ones, and just to give residents an understanding of how much work y'all do. There was one point where we had the busiest or close to the busiest fire station per capita in the country.
We still do.
We still do. Which station is that?
Station 9.
And how many calls are they seeing a week?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. I can tell you in a week's time as far as the overall, because I try not to do that, but for overall, we'll make anywhere between 31 to 3,200 calls in a 6-day grace period overall as far as the whole department. But I can get you those, but those numbers are tremendous. They'll make anywhere between 18, 20 calls a shift. So it's tremendous. Along with, but let me add something to that. Again, when you look at the downtown area, you've got Station 2s, 5s, 9s, 19s. But being the chief, I just want to make a mention, and I appreciate you saying that, but let me be absolutely clear with that. Everybody's busy and everybody's working hard. But of course, the area downtown is going to draw more attention just because of the tourists and all that. So thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Quick question. We were talking about the fire classes we have coming through. In the questionnaire, it said we have 248 employees eligible for full retirement. Do we have enough people in the classes to fill if those people leave?
No, and that's just eligible for retirement, meeting the rule of 75. So just about since I've been the chief and well before that, you'll have that number. It's grown, it's gotten a little heavier, but that just means they could retire any moment. So our problem that we have is attrition, of course, because by the time a class comes around and graduates, we've already, with people retiring or leaving or what have you, we'll have 15 to 20. And I think in a year's time, what are we averaging a safe number of due to retirees or attrition? 80.
80, okay.
And it goes up. So that's what our difficulty is just trying to keep that where it's safe, meaning, if we don't get FTEs, of course, by attrition, if we're just doing class due to attrition, it's really dangerous because now you're depleting your department, and we just don't have a lot of flexibility at the fire department. I mean, again, we've been very fortunate under the last administration, under Cooper, and now under Mayor Freddie O'Connell, that they understand, and especially you guys, y'all been hearing me saying it. We just got to make sure that we grow with the city.
Thank you, Chief, and thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Cortez. To answer that question, and Chief Swan can follow up with the more updated information, but in 2021, Fire Station 9 responded to 35,958 calls, which was more than 7,000 more calls than the next busiest station.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you for that.
Councilmember Allen, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to shift back to the REACH program, which we're so excited to have in place, and I know it has taken a lot of heat off of the police and dealing with things that were totally inappropriate for them to be dealing with. But it sounds like you're adding shifts so that is now 24/7 as opposed to just the most intense shift. Do y'all have data that shows that they'll be just as well utilized, or if we had to concentrate on just one shift, we're getting a whole lot more bang for our buck out of that one? Or how's the decision made to?
Absolutely. The numbers will show our needs, and we can be more than happy to show that. Matter of fact, we've got a real great detail of showing what that demand looks like. But again, as I stated earlier, we would love to have it just a 24-hour operation. With what we're receiving, this will, again, there will be times when we can do that and times we can't, just because we're not fully staffed there. But it will definitely show its worth, and we'll be able to show you that. In the numbers, for instance, when I do my weekly report to the mayor's office, you may see like REACH has responded to. This is just a number I'm making up here. REACH will respond to, let's say, 40 calls. But yet my calls that are psychological may be 80. So that tells me I'm missing something there. So then we equip when the calls come in where they should be better time frame where we're missing that mark. So we'll be very responsible with that, and we'll be able to show the data, the need and the use of it.
Great, so it'll be targeted to the next most needy areas.
Absolutely.
That makes sense, that's great, thank you. And then I just want to circle back around to the targeted savings, and this may actually be a question for the finance table rather than y'all, but in general, you achieved your targeted savings by not promoting and not hiring. So when we give that money back to you this year, it doesn't change what happened last year. So how do you use it this year, and does that just sort of reset your base so that you're starting back with these are things we want to do this year, and then you add on top of it?
By receiving those funds back effective July 1, that allows us to have those recruit classes in July. We will be able to become fully staffed. If we didn't lose anybody between now and then, we could get fully staffed starting on July 1. If we had a savings target, we would have to hold vacancies for a minimum of 6 months,
6 months.
if
Okay.
not longer. It depends on how many we have.
So
And that
you're-
would be vacancies across the whole department.
Gotcha. So you'll spend it on July 1, but it'll kind of, you've got a head start on what you're going to spend it on already, or?
We're filling all the vacancies.
Gotcha.
That's what Chief was referring to with there's a fire recruit class of approximately 20 or 25 coming in July.
Okay.
And there's also an EMS class as well.
Okay. So you're playing catch up in a hurry at the beginning of this
Yes, ma'am.
next year?
Yeah, absolutely. So if we don't receive it, then we're going to be in the hole.
Gotcha.
You know, so this will help us be more efficient in what we would have done or wanted to do. And we made the promotions, again, under the same pretense, because holding those promotions are, it's just not good for a department that is built for structure and leadership.
Understood. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Allen. And I wanted to clarify something with the targeted savings, and I'm going to look to Mr. Pratt to let me know if I'm on track with explaining this. With the targeted savings, colleagues, the departments have a budget, and the targeted savings were recommended, and they were not allotted a portion of their budget that they were not able to spend. So if your targeted savings was, let's say, 5%, you did not get 5% of that budget request, and you as the leader of that department had to determine how they were going to find those savings. So those savings are going to look different for each department. So by restoring that, that is making them whole, bringing them back to what their budgeted ask was. Did I kind of get that correct? I'm gonna go to Director Pratt, to Budget Officer Pratt, to explain it a little better.
Thank you. Actually, you explained it eloquently. Yes, we allocated a 1.41% targeted savings on all departments in the GSD, and what those departments did in July, they gave us a true-up of how they would actually allocate those targeted savings across both personnel and operating. And we were flexible enough to work with those departments over the course of the year to allocate, up and down operating to personnel based upon their needs. So we're working with the departments to make sure that, we are flexible enough to make sure 1.41% is met in some measure over the course of the year.
Thank you. What I want to clarify was that we're not giving them something extra on top. We're just restoring them back to where they were, correct?
Correct. We're bringing them back to their 2024 to 25 base for 2026. So what we're doing is we're making them actually whole so they can spend their full budget, which they actually probably needed this year anyway.
Thank you. So I just wanted to make sure that was clear for anyone in the viewing audience, as well as for any of our colleagues, that we're not giving anything on top. We're just making departments whole by restoring the targeted savings. Next, we have Councilmember Soror, followed by Councilmember Gregg. Councilmember Soror, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. The good thing about going last is that most of my question has been answered, but I do have a question about that attrition of the savings. If they did not get it last year, which means they were able to operate without it, do they still need it this year?
Mr. Pratt, you're recognized.
And not fire specifically, just speaking generally.
Yes. All departments need their targeted savings back for us to be able to operate efficiently. Our current projection of the 2026 base budget, plus the departmental request for their restoration of targeted savings, plus the contractual increases that we have to see for 2026 based on 25, they all need their savings back in order to actually function effectively, or we would run the risk of possibly having to do a supplemental.
Thank you. And I was waiting for the talk with finance to go into this, but since we brought it up, I felt we should just take it all the way. In looking at the budget accountability report and looking at the budget year to date and actual, some of the department are actually over 100% on the personnel. And I think a part of that is due to that savings that was taken from there. Would that be a correct assessment?
Yes, and we plan for that because some departments historically overperform based upon, just certain things, timing of their contracts, but we needed them to overperform because some departments will perform or slightly underperform. So as a whole for the GSD, we were managing the 1.41% target, or the $17 million number as a whole metro. So we were actually counting on some of the departments to do what they normally do.
Last question, then I go back to fire. In looking at those savings and the department that actually needed, some department more than other, again, looking at your budget accountability report, I could see where that need falls short. But did we look at every department to actually see whether what we gave them was enough and we don't have to give them everything that we took last year back?
I would have to do a little bit more analysis on that, but it's specific to the department and it's specific to the department's plan for fiscal year 26 of what they're trying to achieve. So I would say normally they would need their targeted savings back in order to achieve their specific plan, but I don't know the department's or office's specific plan at this point in time, and I would have to do some research on that.
Before we meet with finance, I would like that. And the reason why I said that, historically, what I've noticed in our budget is that oftentimes when I'm looking at budget for this year, we're basically basing on last year budget rather than last year actual. And I've always wondered whether we just give department what we gave them last year rather than what they actually need. And so the fact that we went back and we took out some money, we can actually now look at blanket is not good. And so some people needed it and we need them to have it, but maybe some people really did not need it. So we will need that question. And so to Chief, and we can talk about that in finance. I just wanted to, since we were in that line of questioning, I wanted to point that out.
Thank you for that question. And also, I was just reminded that some departments didn't and offices didn't ask for their targeted savings back. So
Good.
some departments and offices actually were proactively able to trim their budget by their targeted savings amount.
That's what I wanted to hear, because the whole idea is we should not be doing a blanket thing, and we should be looking at wherever we can save, we save. And places that it doesn't make any sense to cut, then we put it back. So thank you for clarifying that for everybody. I appreciate that. Thank you, Chief. How are you doing?
We need our
I'm sure you're
target
like,
savings back.
keep talking to
Let me
them.
just make that point clear.
Okay, so my line of questioning relates to that attrition as well. And one of the line item budget that I see here that it appears not funded is your attrition vacancy staffing is 1.9 million. And the explanation there did actually explain what it takes to, and how long it takes you to get people in, and thinking about the people that will be retiring, the 248 eligible retirees. This 1.9, what does it do if it's not funded? How does that impact your operations? One, two, and you may want to answer this, is this 1.9 going to be covered by the 2.9, or is this a separate amount entirely?
So the 1.9 million for the attrition class that was not funded, that would have allowed us to advanced hire a group of fire recruits to help mitigate the attrition that happens ongoing. Because by the time this class starts in July, the reality is we will have another 20 vacancies, unfortunately. And because it takes so long to onboard them, that's why Chief has been asking to advanced hire just to get ahead of that and try and mitigate that deficit of employees.
Okay.
Now, the restoration of the savings target is completely separate. It has no impact on being able to advance hire for the attrition.
Okay. So if you do get this 1.9, it allows you to make sure that you're always fully staffed and you stay ahead of the attrition.
I wouldn't say that we would be always fully staffed, but it does allow us to hire an extra recruit class. It depends on how many you lose, but if we lost 15 or 20, then we could go ahead and have that class already in process, or actually maybe already out and on equipment.
Okay. So there is another item here that is not funded. It's just $5,000. Talk to me about the translation services. Translation services.
That was the hope to get some additional funding because our EMS staff in particular utilize the translation services contracts that are in place regularly when they engage patients who don't speak their primary language. We have been offsetting that just with funding as needed, but that was just trying to get a line item budget for that in place.
And also that goes along with our messaging. We do a lot of messaging from our office, both fire and OEM for the whole city. not just for our department. So that just helps us be able to make sure that we're hitting all the communities, because as you guys know, we're a rainbow as far as in a melting pot of people from all over. We want to make sure that when we do messaging, especially when we start talking about for storms and things of this nature, or hitting communities with things, we want to make sure that we're able to hit the masses and do communication well for everyone.
Okay. So I do want to say that, I mean, that is such a small amount that I hope that even if we don't add it, that Chief, that you find a way to fund that $5,000, because it's very critical that we make sure that we're reaching everyone in the community and that everybody has access to the services that we provide. And if they don't understand it, they would not be able to use it. So for that 5,000, I mean, it's a wish list item, but it's just 5,000. Even if we don't put it, I hope that you can find 5,000 somewhere to just knock that one out.
Yeah, we're very intentional about all of that.
Okay, I appreciate that. And then the last thing I'm going to say before I stop is that looking at this list here, and for the sake of our constituents that are talking about property tax increase and increasing services and all of that, based on this spreadsheet that I have here, my understanding is that you were requesting 342 FTE with a total of 80 million in additional services, but what is actually funded is 85, and you only got 15. Is that correct?
It's correct.
Okay, so not everything that you asked for, you got.
Absolutely not.
Okay, just wanted
But
to
we're
clarify
very
that.
appreciative. Yes, I thought, and I wanted to make sure I said it at the beginning. We understand where we at as a department, but we're very appreciative of what you guys do, and especially from the mayor's office as well, knowing our needs, and it's just, we have to take a bite at a time to get where we need to be.
And the mayor is funding and what you got, you don't think it will impact your services in any way?
I think it will help us accomplish the tasks that we should be doing and accomplish our missions better. So what we're getting with the mayor proposal will help us be more efficient and be able to serve in the way that we should.
But if you get more, then you'll be able to do more services.
Okay, that's simple math.
Okay. All right, well, thank you, Chief, appreciate it. Before you, I'm sorry, the emergency services and the OEM, are you able to answer those questions as well?
Well, I mean, I'm the chief of that, but I think this is fire. I mean, I'll be more than happy to answer if you have any questions. But again, I want to just make sure we mention that they are under fire, and they do such an incredible work because they deal with all of the city, not just our local, but our state and our federal. So again, man, this great group of men and women.
If you can answer, or maybe if you can get us the answer, looking at the Office of Emergency Management, what jumped out at me at their budget at a glance is that they're losing about 1.6 million in special purpose fund, which is loss of grants and things like that. Can we confirm that these are one-time grant funds that is not going to impact the work that they do, or do we exactly know how this will be made up? But in 2024, it was 2.2 million. 2025, it was 2.9. And for 2026, it was only 1.3 million. And I was just wondering about that.
Well, real fast, that's those grants are every year you have to apply for them, like the EMPG grant or Homeland Security grant. So you have to apply for those. And that's probably why it's showing where we applied for them and where it shows that we received them. But we haven't missed any grants up until now. But again, everybody's sort of up in the air with how grants are going to affect them. Again, these are emergency services grants, the EMPG and the Homeland Security. All these things are grants that are not subject to just that particular department, but it's made for the city itself or county. So I'll know more about that as we go, but we're praying like everyone else that we're not affected by it, but we'll keep you all up to speed with it. But we've not lost anything at this point in time, but we're all on watch.
So we're budgeting based on what we know we're going to get already, and then the rest of it we'll do as we go.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Sora. Councilmember Gregg, you are recognized, and then Councilmember Webb. And seeing no one else in the queue, we'll see if Councilmember Evans has a follow-up question, and then we will move on. And colleagues, we are about 45 minutes over schedule, so if we could just be mindful. I know this is very important, and we appreciate everyone taking their time out, and we only do this once a year, so I want to be lenient and make sure that people have the time to ask all their questions, but I do want to honor that we do have 2 more hearings today. So with that, we'll go Councilmember Gregg, Councilmember Webb, and then close out with Councilmember Evans. If I don't see anyone else in the queue, Councilmember Webb, Gregg, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair Porterfield. Chief, I agree with you 100% that a crisis counselor is needed for your staff, someone who understands the unique traumas they have to process. Are you able to meet the need with that one counselor?
We actually have already on board as 2.
Okay.
And so this will be another additional. Again, I don't know how you feed that. I mean, you know, again, but we don't, it's not just all in-house. We, of course, the in-house portion that we have that's, which, listen, Lonnie and her team and our peer support groups do such an incredible job. I can't thank them enough. But also we work outside of the department too, meaning as we get overwhelmed, we actually send them somewhere privately. But I don't know how you feed that. But we are very appreciative of having another counselor because, again, it means they're become more of the family, and sometimes that's easier to talk to someone that you have a little bit more trust to. So thank you so much for that question, and we'll put them to good use.
Certainly, as I stated, they understand your culture, which is very unique. So just want to make sure you have what you need in that area.
Thank you.
Councilmember Webb, you're recognized.
I don't really have a question. I just wanted to make a comment. We sit here and we talk about mental health, and everybody knows I have a fireman's son. So their mental health is like up here. You just can't explain what they go through on a daily basis. We sit here and we hear the data about how we have 3 firehouses and across the United States in the top 10. The only way that we could do our firemen justice, and these are our neighbors, these are the people living in our community, the only way that's going to get better for them is to build firehouses, guys. Right now, we're growing, and we're, like you said, we haven't had a firehouse in 20 years. So I'm going to write everybody's name down in here in this group because I know y'all hear it. And the next time capital spending comes around, can everybody give me 25 points? So firehouse is number 1. And so we can help the firemen that keep us safe because they need it. John Rutherford has the land. It was given. He's not here. He has the land. It's in the Antioch area. And we just need the budget that's a start. We're way behind. I'm just asking you. Now, y'all hear it for yourself, so let's do them justice.
Thank you, Councilmember Webb. Councilmember Evans, you are recognized. Chair Evans, you're recognized.
Thank you, Councilmember Webb. Reminded me of one thing, and that is the power that our planning department has over making decisions about fire halls. Because I know, for instance, that was something out in the far eastern part of Davidson County that did not make it into, it was pulled off because of kind of that analysis that our side of town didn't need one. So to your point, we should be putting it on there for the future. Planning has, I think, outsized influence in some cases, kind of related to kind of that aspect of how we grow. But I just wanted to tag that on to Councilmember Webb's comment. And then the other thing I just wanted to mention, just to provide some clarity around kind of the REACH program and the questions about data. The data is held in the health department. So if anybody in here has data questions, they should go to Colton McKay, and he will be able to explain kind of the data that is driving REACH and the additions of the REACH personnel and kind of how that plays into like the 24-hour support when possible based on what's allocated. So just wanted to add that in there for anyone who's looking for that information. And thank you.
Thank you, Council Lady Evans, for that. And of course, thank you, Council Webb, for your support of the department. And she said everything correct except firefighters, not just firemen. We'll make sure we say that. I'll get in trouble, and we're supportive. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Chief Swan, for everything that you do for all of us and for Nashville and for taking care of our residents. So with that, we're going to conclude our fire EMS section, and we are going to open up the hearing for the Sheriff's Department. So if we could.
This has been a